Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Is Eritrea training an extremist group which is involved in attacks in another country? I'm not talking about Eritrea training the groups fighting in Sudan. We know that Sudanese armed groups have been undergoing military training in Eritrea, and we know that they were deployed to Sudan recently. Eastern Brigade is the name of the unit, the name of the division formed after training in Eritrea. I'm talking about another group. I'm not saying Eritrea is training this extremist group, but uh, an official from the region, Horn of Africa, claimed about Eritrea training an extremist group. Details for you. Secondly, Oromia, viewers. What is happening in Oromia? People are being forced to make mandatory contributions. Teachers are being forced, farmers are being forced, businessmen are being forced. What is the reason? Where is this contribution going? Let's start with the first news. It is about Eritrea, viewers. Eritrea has long been accused of training armed groups involved in different countries in the Horn of Africa. Eritrea, Ethiopia, for the most part, the last 2 decades, trained proxies against each other, trained proxy armed groups. Eritrea training fighters now fighting in Sudanese civil war. Is Eritrea training Al Shabaab fighters too? Eritrea was accused, by the way, of training Al Shabaab fighters in the past. Eritrea denies, obviously, but fresh allegations are being leveled against Eritrea by Abdullahi M. Duale. Who is he? He's a Somaliland government official. Somaliland is an Ethiopian ally. We must not forget the regional picture too. Somaliland on the side of Ethiopia, Eritrea on the side of Somalia. That is why these allegations are being leveled against Eritrea. Abdullahi Muhammad Duale is Somaliland's special envoy to IGAD and African Union, Intergovernmental Authority on Development, is a regional bloc in East Africa. Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, Sudan, South, etc. Somalia, they are members of IGAD. Kenya too. I think Uganda as well. Abdullahi gave an interview this week. In his interview, he talked about recent attacks on Somaliland forces and recent operations conducted by Somaliland forces against Al Shabaab. A few days ago, some fighters were killed in Somaliland. Somaliland government claimed that the killed people were from Al Shabaab. Abdullahi clearly said in his interview that Eritrea is still training Al Shabaab fighters. Somaliland has reliable evidence. Somaliland captured Al Shabaab fighters. Some were killed too in recent operations. And after investigation, it was revealed that they were trained in Eritrea. Abdullahi accused Puntland too, that Puntland is also interfering in Somaliland, eastern part of Somaliland, the target of Al Shabaab, which is trying to make alliance with local groups. And Eritrea is backing Al Shabaab fighters, which are trying to destabilize Somaliland, destabilize the Somaliland because of the election due to be held on the 13th of November. That is why in recent days these attacks were carried out. Now, we're not saying that Eritrea is really training Al Shabaab fighters. I don't think Eritrea would train Al Shabaab now when it is an ally of Hassan Sheikh government. Eritrea, Egypt, and Somalia are allies. They have formed a trilateral alliance in Asmara. Eritrea is training Somalia's forces in the fight against Al Shabaab. It does not make sense that Eritrea is training Al Shabaab fighters to fight against Somalia's government. But Abdullah is talking about those groups of Al Shabaab which are trying to enter Somaliland. Is Eritrea training Al Shabaab fighters which are Al Shabaab groups which are involved in attacks in Somaliland? While it is training Somalia's forces which are conducting operations against Al Shabaab. Well, it does not make sense, but since the statement came from an ambassador, the envoy of Somaliland to IGAD and Afghanistan, that's why we shared that with you. Somaliland is obviously an Ethiopian ally. It is opposing Egyptian military entry in Somalia to it expelled Egyptian officials from Somaliland. Ethiopia relations not very friendly these days. Ethiopia relations tense for years. So Somaliland basically toes Ethiopian line of foreign policy in the region. Secondly, there was Oromia, and alarming news from there. It is being reported by several news sources. People are confirming too from the ground that the government of Oromia is forcing people to make mandatory contributions, financial contributions. For what? Contributions to train militias, contributions to feed students at universities, etc. If you remember, a few months ago, I wrote some articles on my views in news.net. I told you that students were facing problems at universities because they were not being provided food or enough food. Universities were complaining that the budget allocated by the government was not sufficient. After the devaluation of bird, definitely universities are facing a bigger challenge. Now, farmers, businessmen, uh, government workers, they are being forced to make financial contributions so that universities could feed students. Secondly, militia. We know that Oromia regional government is training, arming Gichan, Asarna, other local militias. These militias are involved in operations against OLA, Oromo Liberation Army. Uh, and the training and other expenditure on these militias is the second area where the contributions are going. People are being forced, they're being told that they'll have to pay, they'll have to make contributions to the government for the training of militias. RC, Shashamane, in other parts of Oromia, residents are confirming that they're under pressure. Local government officials are forcing them to make financial contributions. Thank you for watching.